Hi, I'm Pattu from freefincal. Let's take a look at the PlumbLine list of handpicked mutual funds for April 2020. This is the second quarter of 2020 and how things have changed from January 2020 to April 2020. I have taken a couple of categories out, and hopefully the list will be easier to understand and orient for especially new investors, new people who are looking at it for the first time. Now, please do read the disclaimer. I'm not going to do the disclaimer here. Please don't ask me what about that fund, what about this fund, why is this not there, why is that not there. That's let that be there in your list. This is my list. I can't help you, so I can't um, uh, explain why something is not there. I can only talk about why something is there. All right, so let's get to it. There's a lot of disclaimer, FAQ. You just have to go look at that. So if you are looking for somewhere to park your cash just for a few days, for a few weeks, for a few months, with very little of interest rate volatility, then overnight funds can be your option, but don't expect returns from it. L&T cash fund is one option. You have also funds from HDFC. You have an ICICI fund. These are all large AUM funds. You can go with a large AUM fund with a low expense ratio. I'm not going to explain to you what each category here is. I'm just going to run through the categories. You will have, there are many helpful links in each of those posts. You can have a look at that. All right, so that's overnight funds just for parking cashes. If you want to save money or invest for a few months, maybe a year, even more than that, and you don't want to take on too much of volatility and you want a good clean portfolio free from credit risk, quantum long-term equity can be used. Parak Parik liquid fund can also be used as long as it has a clean portfolio. Why do you think Parak Parik has got 1 star? It's got a 1 star liquid fund because its portfolio is clean. So don't chase chars in debt funds. It can be very dangerous. Arbitrage can be used. I have a post on how to use arbitrage. It can be used as a debt part for a long-term portfolio. It can be used as a way to. It can be used to generate income. You can get money from it and so on. I recommend ICICI equity arbitrage. I'm invested in that. I'm also invested in quantum liquid for different reasons. You can see the disclaimers. It's a reasonably it's a reasonable fund. It's got a large enough AUM. It will not take the risk because it's got HNI investors in it. So I don't think it's gonna. It's all right. I mean, I think it's fine. It avoids direct equity as far as I know, or at least it has got only a very small portion of direct equity, if at all, which is all right. I think so far it's been okay. It's been doing well for me. In a turbulent market, it will become a little bit more volatile. It can fetch you returns, a little bit more returns during such times. It may be possible. You should know how to use it. Ultra short term, low risk. This is for let's say 6 months, 7 months, more than 1 year, more than that, and so on. You can use it. Franklin India Savings Fund. This is a money market fund. It will invest in short term bonds of good credit quality. You can be used that. That's one option for you. That's for something that you can use. Ultra short term, high risk, and I've made this very clear every time I recommended this. It's a high risk fund, Franklin Ultra Short Term Fund. Well, people will say, why are you recommending this after it went through the Vodafone idea? Credit events are a daily natural event, a natural occurrence for this fund. Of course, one thing I'm a little unhappy with the way Franklin handled the whole thing. I've explained it in the article, but other than that, I mean, if you get caught in a credit event, then the only way for you to recover the loss is to stay invested in the fund, get yourself used to credit risk, and the NAV will pull back up. That's the only way out, in my opinion. Okay, I have a long discussion on why I have recommended it and so on. You can have a look at it. 10-year gilt fund, SBI has one, ICICI has a 10-year gilt fund, constant maturity fund. You can use it as a debt component without any credit risk for a long-term portfolio. That's fine. Now, so I have now sort of, I think I've streamlined my debt funds. That's a usage summary. If you want a park cash, liquid fund or overnight fund, short-term investing, liquid fund, medium to long-term investing with minimum credit risk, Franklin Savings, it will have reinvestment risk like we saw in the overnight fund video. If the new bonds are available at lower interest rate, then you will have to, then your returns will also get lower. There will not be much of a loss because of that, but it will be lower. Medium to long term credit risk, medium to long term investment with credit risk, you can go for Franklin Ultra Short. Long term with no credit risk, then the 10-year get the constant maturity funds I just talked about. So that's, hopefully the binning is now a little bit better than what I did last time. I have removed two categories in the debt list because of this binning, which I like better. Equity tax planning, I have made it very clear, don't use ELSS funds until it's absolutely essential for you to do that. Aditya Birla, Tax Relief 96 or DSP Tax Saver, they have very good consistent records. You can use that. Parak Parak Tax Saver is also something that you can use. They have good consistent records. You can use that. Now, in the hybrid, in the equity case or the hybrid funds case, I would suggest you use the robo template. Then you find out the allocation that's suitable for you and then use it. I'm not going to tell you. Most of it fits for long term, but how much you should use and so on, the robo template will tell you. In the balanced fund or the aggressive hybrid, I recommend HDFC hybrid equity, Franklin or Franklin India hybrid or ICICI equity and debt. They've all done reasonably well. There are also links in the post for my videos. You can each individual fund videos. You can have a look at that. Multi-asset. I use ICICI multi-asset fund. I recommend it. People expect it to be low volatile. That's not essentially true. That's not necessarily true. It will be a little more volatile than balanced advantage or maybe even aggressive hybrid funds. I don't know. We still don't know much about it. We have to. It's a dynamic, evolving category. But this is what I use for my son's education goal. Multi-cap funds, Parak long-term equity. I recommend that. Quantum long-term equity, I still hold it. I think since the imbalance or the inhomogeneity in the market has more or less gone down, I think it should do well in future. I still hold it. Maybe a little less exposure than what it was earlier, but I still hold it. But for new investors, Parak should do well. That's my recommendation. Index funds, I have for the large cap, you can go for Nifty, Sensex, or if you can take an additional risk, Nifty 50 equal weight. You can have other options like large plus mid cap kind of blend. If you want to create with the index, you can go with a Nifty or what should I say? If you want a mid cap like index fund, then Nifty Next 50 index fund would be fine. But you should mix it with a large cap. You can't just use it alone; it will be too risky. If you want a blend which is a little more, 50-50 is what I recommend. Or you can go, you can even, I have a video on this, you can go for 80% Nifty 50, 20% Nifty Next 50. That should give you Nifty 100 kind of composition. Of course, Axis Nifty, Axis 100 fund is also there. You have a top 100 index fund also. So there are different combinations. I talk about that. That's my large cap recommendation, which is Axis Nifty 100 index fund. That's fine. You can go for that. Of course, slightly higher expense ratio, I think. Balanced advantage, it can be used for low risk, for long term low risk. Don't use it for income. It's too risky, like we saw it in this crash. Balanced advantage gives you much lower volatility, which is good. Mid cap, Franklin Prima Fund, HDFC Mid Cap. Their performance have dipped a little bit recently, but I'm just still, because of their history, I think I'm just let it there. But next time, if they don't continue to perform next quarter, I might pull it out. Alternatives are L&T Mid Cap, which is doing excellently well. Kotak Emerging Equity, which is also doing very well. They're all good alternatives in my opinion. And small cap, I always recommend no small caps. I don't recommend small caps. Your multi cap will have all the small caps you want. So that's about it. A lot of videos where the reviews are included. That's a summary given. You can have a look at that. Please do have a goal and invest with a clear portfolio for this PlumbLine. So, bye bye.